I am very happy to be here with everyone. Raymond's already saying, yeah. Thanks, Raymond, for being here. I appreciate you. Hey, this is your second time, Raymond, for being here, so I can't wait to introduce you. But hello, Raymond.
Hi, Rhonda. How are
And,
you?
and am I supposed to say Raymond Al Freitas? And if am I saying your name accurate?
Yeah, that's exactly how you say my name.
Okay. Fresh Talks Global Vision. We're here for another strong, bold, get real, get wild and crazy kind of conversation. And Raymond Al Freitas is the guy to talk to. I enjoyed talking to him about 6 months ago. If you didn't catch that interview, I will make sure in our information that you get to him in a way that you'll be able to see his interview before. And this one, he nails it every time because Raymond really lives in authenticity. Like the things we're going to be talking about are really going to be like these real, bold conversations. I love these conversations because I call this a hashtag speaker locking arms. This project that we have going on here about let's everyone open our voice and let's stop the blaming and shaming. And every expert that comes in, they nail it when they start talking about the beauty of what they're working on. And I also want to know your voice too. What have you been struggling on or wanting to transform in your neighborhood, or you just see all these changes that if it happened, the human experience here on earth would be so much more fabulous. And Raymond Al Freitas and I were just talking about, he has some great stuff he wants to talk about, especially it's 9/11. So this is a wonderful time. And Raymond picked this date exactly because he wanted to really get it and nail in some of the sensitivities that are going on there. All right, Raymond, I'm going to introduce you. I can't wait. All right. So my name is Raymond Al Freitas, he says, also known as the man of misunderstandings and or the modern day mystic. I'm a spiritual happiness coach, teacher, teaching action, service-based professionals who are struggling emotionally in their careers and our relationships, happiness, health, wealth, and the law of attraction. I have two programs. One for just basic coaching, which is 6 months long. The second one includes meditation and energy based healing to help further get to the root cause of the issue. This is what we need. We need some calming tools. So, Raymond, maybe we even today do some type of meditation. So, we'll see how this goes. But I know, I already know you're going to nail it. Welcome in, Raymond Al Freitas.
Thanks, Rhonda. Thanks for having me.
Raymond, I think we need to get right to it. Let's get the buzz going on really what's on your mind. And I'm going to ask the question. I just want to take a step back and allow you to give your space here. And I'm just going to feel it out. With it being 9/11 and with the events that happened yesterday, which it's painful to even watch something like that. I just want to cry when I think about this, when a human being is being hurt like this and just gone just instantly. Can you share with me what you're feeling, what you're up to, what's your mind in this mystic experience that you really hold space for, what you're feeling?
Well, personally, when I first got the news yesterday, I never really was someone that listens to a lot of podcasts. I don't listen to a lot of things because I'm mainly focused on my own journey, my own spiritual development. And I do think sometimes when we get into that certain sort of space, it starts to make you think a certain way, and then then his opinions become your opinions. But I do know when you do something right, half the world will love you, half the world will hate you. The thing is, what happened yesterday, he was to the right, which half the country, third of the country, will resonate with this message. But the other third of the country is not going to resonate with this message. But I think before we start blaming people and when taking revenge, we have to make sure who the shooter was, what was his motive, and we can't just blame we can't just be in this political civil war blaming people for why we feel the way we feel. And unfortunately, like I said, when someone like this gets killed, what is the response going to be? Is someone going to drive a van in the pride parade, which is not the Christian thing to do either, right? So what is going to be the revenge point? There's going to be something that happens in the next couple months, and they're going to blame, well, that's just retaliation for his death. And we're living in such a toxic climate these days that when you call yourself neutral like myself, then people get offended and they don't know what to do with you. Because in this climate, you have to choose a side. Well, either this or that. You're with me or you're with us. But when you get into like spiritual leadership, it's not about choosing a side. It's about helping people. It's about making sure that whatever it is you're trying to accomplish gets accomplished, and you get rid of the distractions out of your mind. And so we were distracted heavily yesterday and today. Today is 911, which means we all know what that means, because about 24 years ago, we had our World Trade Center attack. And 911 also means if you call, you get help. You get in a heart attack, you get into an accident, you get in whatever, you call 911. So for your audience, I'm just here to help.
You know, I enjoy that you are straight up in your conversations. You want to just really go there, because to me, you are real. Like everything that you're saying is just, this is how I feel. But you have some. Can we talk about? You really do say you're like this mystic that is, getting into what's really happening here, and you're doing these meditations, helping people work through things. Can you explain more of that space that you hold when you start talking about that, like what you do and what you say that you're here for?
Well, I've definitely been felt called to help others since I was 17 years old. And it started with tutoring at my local community college and at my four-year college. Got into substitute teaching, helping students and children accomplish their goals and the teachers out. And then during COVID-19, I realized I got to find something else to do. Yeah. I had sort of my own awakening experience, and that led me to become a certified health and life coach. But I realized what is the effect of my coaching is making people, and it's making them more fulfilled and happy within themselves. And we're looking for such a concept of what is greater than us, that we put our faith into individuals. We put our faith into individuals that are just human beings, when really we should put our faith in something that is greater than us. But we haven't had a godlike figure in society since times of Christ. So that's 2025 years ago. So there has to be someone that carries the torch in this generation. But that's public. That's more of a public ministry. But as far as what I hold for my client space, I just allow them to express what's on their mind, and we can heal that through meditation. We can heal that through subconscious remapping. We can heal that through energy work. If there's certain emotions they haven't resolved over the years, we can do all of that. But it's non-judgmental. It's about holding a freedom set mindset to express whatever's on your mind. But like I said, coaching is not really about the past. That's what a therapist is going to help you with. It's about making sure that your future is what you want it to become.
I feel like I'm just so dialed in with what you're saying. If we stay in our head and we just try and, listen to people that are just talking from their head, it's so limited in the space that you truly can imagine what can really happen to you. And right. I think of, everybody knows Michael Jordan. People know, like, I'm not even thinking of the big names. I mean, Oprah. You're thinking, I think of those people that how I feel every day and tapping into, but they talk about this thing about practice, be dedicated, love what you do, but they weren't just born to be leaders. I mean, they tapped into something that was a way that they were not just here on earth and they could only see earth stuff. They were like, I can feel that there's something bigger. There's a bigger thing that's happening here, and I'm supposed to be doing that. And yes, it's scary, but once you start breaking through those limiting beliefs, which is, I believe, what you're saying, that's what you work with people. But you even brought in God or mystical, or some people are saying the spiritual journey, whatever somebody's tapping into, that is the thing that starts the journey that becomes so much bigger that you can't explain it. You just like, I bet when you're doing your thing with your clients that they get great big results because you're going in with that approach that you're not alone. You're helping somebody really step into something deeper. And I really appreciate what you're doing.
And I'll be honest with you, Rhonda, this year, since the passing of my dad, it's been a year I really helped myself, because the last year has been very, very difficult for me going forward with my own family circumstances. But I have to be the leader and say, okay, I have to move on and I have to continue on. I've had 6 dreams about my dad since he's passed.
Oh.
So I know he's still here in sort of spiritual presence, guiding me, and he keeps telling me he didn't die each time I see him in the dream. So, but I'll go on to another thing. It was September of 2023 where I kind of completed my mission of healing my trauma, even though trauma always happens. Everything we do that causes a certain emotion. I went into the heaven realm and I was lying down on my couch. I see my dad walking in the kitchen. All of a sudden, he's walking towards me with a hand on my shoulder. His eyes are lit up. His face is, and he goes, "Hey, everything is going to be okay." And it wasn't his voice. It was not his voice. And I'm thinking in my head, did God just go through my dad and say, everything is going to be okay? I went in my shower. I started crying. My dad and my wife come in. My dad's had some health issues at this point anyways, and he looked at me like this and went on his way. And I think we live in such a time where people are bleeding for something to believe in more than just themselves.
Yeah.
My testimony could help someone else. Hey, there is a God. And in fact, there's probably more than just one. But we call those deities. So I believe in one God and many deities. And the deities are created by God to guide us, like angels or many gods, like other religions that you might study. And majority of us are human beings. Some of us are light workers. Some of us are star seeds. I consider myself more of an avatar, but we could talk about that later on.
So we've laid the foundation pretty good in what you are working with, what you see, and how I want to go into, since you're really tapped into this, and I hope a lot of people are, because this is where you get to realize, like, we are in a body, and there's really a spiritual journey along with this, and it helps along the way when you truly understand what that means for you. And I know everybody has their different visions and stuff, but if you're tapped in, which is wonderful. How does that help with what you're here to do? Like when you're working with clients, when you're out there speaking, when you're doing interviews, what does that bring out in you? What kind of transformation are you finding that people are struggling with, and what you've been specifically working with? Is there some kind of a thread that you've been noticing out there that you've been helping people with, or is it a variety? I'd love to hear.
The main purpose of my coaching program is to shift from a fear mindset to a loving mindset. I think we're all living in fear right now. We're in fear of the government. We're in fear of maybe getting deported. We're in fear of possibly going on a political civil war. And it doesn't help that we have 2 parties that are running the country that speak on fear. If you don't vote for us, this is what's going to happen. Don't vote for that, that's going to happen. So this whole time, fear is being shoved in our place, in our faces. We watch the Channel 2 news, Channel 5 news, we see shootings all the time. So people are just constantly living in fear.
Yeah.
We're in fear of driving the 9 to 5. We think we can get into a car accident at any time. We're living in fear. And the real transformation comes when we're able to shift fear into love.
Fear into life?
Love.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
So that's the miracle that I help people kind of transform their life.
Okay, so Raymond, I want to tell you, I want to share with you. I'm sorry, I think you're trying to say something, and it was kind of. What were you trying to say? I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, no problem. No, I mean, it's less about happiness and about living with love. And then after that, you're able to maintain a peaceful mindset through everything and every challenge you go through. My dad was such a huge influence in my life, but I've maintained peace through all of this.
Wow.
And my grandmother is in hospice as we speak. So I'm having two key members that are on their way out, but I maintain a level peace. I have my own support through my health insurance, I have my own support through my friends. But taking the mental health success story right here, which is
Yeah.
what I'm trying to help people with, family wellness and mental health management.
Yeah.
There are so many people out there that speak on mental health, but on the other side of the curtain, they're not preaching what they're teaching.
All is one, my friend. The alignment in what you speak and what you live is something I work on every day, and that's what we're talking about here. On these interviews that we do, it is so challenging to do that, but you want to tap into it. I mean, if you are not in alignment, you're not going to be able to get anywhere. You're going to be fighting, and you're not going to, and you're just part of the chaos that's out there. Because when you speak it doesn't mean it happens, right? I mean, it's really and truly being engulfed in it. I want to tell you live with us right now. She may be able to interact, but I want to go more into this because that alignment, I think, is where that healing comes in more, in the fear starts dissipating because there's another story there. Let me see what Carolyn CJ Jones said here. She said she actually had a similar experience. Okay, she says, my journey is about, it's like spirit. She's interested spiritually, and she continually thanks God for everything that she gets to experience. And Carolyn CJ Jones, she's just incredible, just like you, talking about, being in alignment. Raymond, can we go in there about alignment and the difficulty that you're finding? Like, you're helping people get in alignment so that they can release that fear and really get in alignment. I mean, that word keeps coming up. So can we talk more about that, about how difficult it is to actually get in alignment, and some of the things that you're finding once people start really living, like when they wake up, they're working on, what they say is what they're feeling and working through so that they show up the way that they're talking, what they're saying. What do you think about that, my friend? I'd love to go in deeper about that, because that I hear that that's a lot of what the work you're doing.
Well, there's alignment. Then there's the process of becoming enlightened.
Okay.
So once we start becoming more spiritually aligned, then all of a sudden you start realizing, okay, there's a reason why this happens. The law of cause and effect. I do this today, this happens tomorrow. I do this now, this will happen. And the goal is not to change who someone is, but to let them understand that they're more than capable of accomplishing things they didn't think they were worth accomplishing. We do this by letting them understand that, hey, the sky is the limit for you.
Yeah.
And whether you want to stick with a 9 to 5 and have a side hustle, if you want to go into a business, I'm working with a client right now that's kind of in an in-between stage of her life. She hasn't call job. She's on the phone a lot. She's trying to get her business back off the ground. She is also not so her coaching session Tuesday, and I think she has a clear vision of what she wants to after just one coaching session. It's going to take time. It's going to take more than just one session, but you can get a lot out of just where you want to be in
Yeah.
6 months on just one strategy session. So I think she's going to do fine with me. We've worked before in the past. She's even exchanged services with me with energy healing, and I would say for most people I work with, after they're done working with me, they're a lot happier with their lives. Because most people just struggle with outside purpose. They have these hobbies, they have, vacations that go on. And when we get back to our normal lives, we can get complacent, we can get bored, we can get, maybe what is it that I'm going to do the next day? I'm getting complacent. Well, what turned me around is that I realized that everything in my life has its own purpose. Therefore, it gives me a purpose. My dog, my two animals, my wife, my family. That is probably the biggest purpose. But then I have a calling on top of that. And I think until you find what it is that you're called to do, you'll be in this struggle element of your life. But once you reach your voice, once you understand what it is that you want to do in life,
Yeah.
then you'll be a lot more fulfilled. And I would say who I help the most are people that are in transition in their life. They one part of their life opening up, another part is closing down, and they're afraid.
Yeah. Harry, if I understand what you're saying is when we are growing, that these things come at us because it's new. People around us may even question us because we're showing up differently. We're acting different than we did before, but the different person that we are is like that we're evolving into being enlightened. It can be hard because people may not understand you and may still want to put you in the box that you were, days ago or, a year ago or whatever. And to understand that means that you're going to have some chaos when you're actually moving forward. And so when you know that everything is going to be okay, you're going to feel uncomfortable, but that uncomfortable space is what the journey is. And what you're going to get out of your life is something more magical, and you're going to be able to serve at a higher level. And I think about that when I'm looking at, what my purpose is here is about opening people's voices.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about loving on people in a way that they feel that they can stop blaming and shaming themselves so that they can get out there and do their work and stop blaming and shaming others. Because without that alignment, you're automatically judging and blaming people. I mean, that's what we have out there. So it's a very interesting time with all the stuff that's going on and how we're able to get out there to people and share this. What do you think about that in the journey?
Well, I think the journey for all of us is just to be one with ourselves, one with others, one with our families, one with nature. I always say be one with nature. Go out, get as many hikes in, as many nature walks as possible, because leaves have the ability to transform you. They absorb human emotion. And another thing is, we're living in times of so much uncertainty.
Yeah.
Wars, climate change. I mean, we don't know what that's going to do with the food.
Yeah.
And people are just living in fear. Like I said, it's just this constant fear. What's going to happen and then that can cause anxiety, that can cause depression, that can cause misunderstandings at the home front. And if you lose a job now, you may not get another one. because
well, that means the next window's opening if you really are enlightened. That it's always leaning into that. I want you to share more about that, but I want to also share that CJ Jones, she was saying that she feels she's in alignment with what you're saying. She's really loving this conversation, and she says that she feels great peace and freedom that really has come to her. And she says that she's learned to get over her 7-year grief where she had like this unrequited love. Like she just was in a space that things weren't working, and she's learned to really let things go and open up. So that's the stuff that how you're able to release that fear is what you're talking about, like being with yourself. But I love my animals, Raymond, because I know that if I look at that animal, that's who us human beings are.
Mm-hmm.
We're pure. If we get into that enlightenment, we are loving on people. Our heart keeps growing, but our spiritual journey, we're just connected consistently as much as we can be. Share some more about that, please, my friend.
I love my animals too. I think they're the best therapy you can possibly have. Just and I have a golden retriever. I have 2 cats. They get along fine. The black cat, like, this is my house. I'm gonna chase you into your crate. The other cat's like, I like you, but I'll tolerate you. But no, animals are great, and they bring so much joy to our lives. And yeah, it keeps me busy while my wife's at work. I'm not doing stuff at home. And yeah, no, they're awesome, and I love animals. But I also like geek therapy, getting outside, breathing fresh air,
Yeah.
getting into nature. That helps too. But I just read a book called On Deep Shift. Yeah, I'm not going to name the author's name for confidential reasons, but her biggest transformation happened with grief. When she lost her mom. And she says the way to get over it would be to find a therapist, someone to talk to, find your calling. She left her corporate America job, went into meditation, and was only making $11 an hour working with someone. But she felt so fulfilled. Finally, she met Oprah Winfrey, did a meditation experience, and now her business is taken off because she met Oprah. If you meet Oprah, do something on Oprah, be aware that you're probably gonna not have as much time on your hands after that. Yeah.
In CJ Jones added in that animals are sacred. Yeah, I know it. I'm talking to my trees, and I just added some new plants into the yard and welcoming them in the yard. I mean, the experience of having that energy around you.
My wife bought lots of plants the last year, so we have a house full of plants now, and that's fine because I don't mind it. Just don't buy any more because I don't think we have any place to put them right now.
Oh yeah, that many. See, then she's really connected with the energy, huh? Like everything you bring in, it's just like it's really magical. Raymond, I had a time when I really couldn't find my happiness, and I kept thinking what people said that was truthful about who I was. Like there were just people around me that were just saying, "No, your business is not real. Your business, is. I mean, you're probably making transformation, but you should be doing something else." And like all these things that we hear as we're trying to get out there in our experience. And I learned that I really need to learn from my animals and around here is that I need to love myself so that I don't fall apart by hearing from people that really are not tapped into, deep love for others and how to show up in a way that, you're supporting somebody.
Yeah, I think my business was most triggering for my parents. Well, Raymond, you haven't gone to marriage counseling school. And I'm like, well, I'm not really teaching marriage. I'm teaching happiness, which is what everybody's trying to achieve when you get into a relationship or when you get into a career. It's about happiness. Even though the branding says Ray of Life, marriage, spiritual empowerment, but I'm not discussing, marriage of a whole, but how can you actually use your marriage as a foundation to add to your life?
Yeah.
And what does it mean to be uniquely whole within your marriage? Well, to me, the only growth that works in marriage is spiritual development. Yeah. You could do other things to be better as a person, but spiritual development, spirituality has been at the heart of family for generations upon generations upon generations.
Yeah.
But part of what my second book discusses, which I'm writing right now, talks about, and when you're growing up, you're learning spiritual practice, you're learning religion, you're learning the laws, the books, but you're also seeing your parents argue, fight over the littlest, stupidest things. By the time you're 17, you start questioning, is this religion everything that it has to go about? And then some people fall back into it when they raise their kids. Some people, what you're seeing people now is they're not going back. And I was raised Christian, my wife was raised Hindu. We've come to the agreement that family under God is what we're going to do, but we're not going to shove the dogma down our kids' throat.
Yeah.
We'll discuss, there is consequences for your actions. You want to be a good person. You want to love your neighbor. You want to love God, but it doesn't have to go any further than that.
I think that's where the enlightenment comes in, because you really just stop the battling and learn how to how to really do that so that you're loving in a loving space. Because
Yeah.
once you get there, you're just learning about your journey, about how to keep yourself, like what we talked about, alignment, how to really tap into that every day. I appreciate your time. How can people connect with you? What's the best way to be able to get to know you? And is there a freebie that they can get into, or is there a course you have going, which we talked about the intro, but how would you like people to get to know you more? Because I have a link on your website, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, or is that where we're taking them?
I do have a Facebook. You can friend request me on Facebook. You can connect with me on LinkedIn.
Okay.
You can follow me on Instagram. My
Mm-hmm.
channel is a work in progress. I call it Low Tech Education with Mr. Freitas. And a guitar spitting knowledge.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time here. I so appreciate you. Thank you so much, Raymond. It's nice to see you again. And thank you for starting off with really talking about just like current events and learning to love on people and not going and doing things that are just so painful to watch what's happening out there in the world. And I know that that's what we're here for, is to bring that enlightenment so that we can have a movement that's positive and in reality by watching what's really happening out there in the world. Because I know we can't change the whole world 100%, but we sure can have a movement and people really talking about this, so we have more and more people. And I call this like my humanitarian project. That's why I have this show, is like, how can we really come in as a group and just keep growing and growing, but talking about the same things. And but that conversation is where I think we get the power for the day, and the happiness is knowing that we're not alone. When we want to live like this, we don't have to live in that pain that we're seeing every day that the news picks up, because this good stuff doesn't get picked up very easily. But I'm glad that there's podcasts out there that are really nailing it, and we're growing. Fresh Talks Global Vision is growing also. So I appreciate you. I'm so happy you're here. Thank you so much for your time.
Take care, Rhonda. And yeah, if you want to reach out to me, I do have a website, rayoflifeme.com. You can fill out a form and just start a conversation, or you can look at me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm out there. Ray of Life, Marriage, and Spiritual Empowerment.
And I have that in the description too. I got that pasted in there for us. Thank you so much. And we'll connect again.
Sure. No
I
problem.
appreciate you.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.
Oh, everyone, we did it. We nailed it. Fresh Talks Global Vision. Now, Raymond talked about some wonderful, wonderful things out there. And if you connect with that, make sure you connect with him. And if it didn't fully connect, because maybe you don't talk about good or God, or you talk about like the universe, whatever, that if that's interchangeable for you, I could see that you could get quite a bit out of this for what we're having conversation with. And Carolyn C.J. Jones, thank you for being involved. It's wonderful to hear other people's journey when they're starting to talk about like nature and their plants and what you can get from it, because that's where a lot of the power is. If we keep seeing what the fight is out there, and we are fighting within our families and ourselves, and things will never find a way to calm down the way that we need it to, so that we can breathe. We can be good in our mental health. I don't know about you, but I deal with quite a bit of challenges, as we all do as human beings. And the more that we get to be on the journey where we're noticing there's something bigger, then it makes us feel like we're more of a group, instead of just through our eyes and then it's just all about me. Because if it's just all about you, it's a very scary world out there. And let's learn how to drop the fear. I know that if we find the freedom within our body and the way we see things, where we're finding more safety, and we're learning about how we can heal our body through the positive energy, and of course some other strategies, which I call the 3 energy revitalized pillars. But I want you to think about what you got from this conversation and keep moving forward. When you feel confused or not feeling very safe, remind yourself most likely you're ascending, you're moving forward. You're really not falling back. And it may feel like that because it is uncomfortable, but you'll notice if you keep leaning in, everything gets better and better. Love you. This is Rhonda Liebig signing off for Fresh Talks Global Vision. Appreciate you. Namaste.